all alone on a deserted street. You haven't quite nailed sentence structures. Let me get you there, yes. Stay tuned and watch Schofield on Shakespeare.
Il cuore a strisce.
This video works best as a sequel to my video on varying sentence structures for effects. In that video we defined simple sentences which contain just one main verb and make sense on their own. Don't be confused by initial or succeeding phrases, for instance, without any shadow of a doubt. If this phrase doesn't have a verb, it isn't a clause and so doesn't change the type of sentence. We also defined compound sentences. These are two or more main clauses joined by and, or but, or, dare I say it, fanboys. This wretched sounding acronym also allows you to use for, nor, yet and so to link your two or more independent main clauses. Finally, we looked at complex sentences, which consist of one or more main clauses which make sense on their own, and one or more subordinate clauses which contain a subordinating conjunction such as since, because, before and that, followed by a verb. You can decide how to sequence the main and subordinate clauses within your sentence. Here we have the subordinate clause first, followed by a comma, and then the main clause. In these sentences we have the main clause first, followed by the subordinates. And in these examples we have the subordinate clause first, followed by the main, and then followed by a second subordinate clause. But be wary of using more than two or at a push three subordinate clauses within your complex sentences. These sentences tend to be overly long and frequently confusing. As this example illustrates, why not press pause now to identify the main and the subordinate clauses? A whopping 5 subordinate clauses. Here they are. 1. Even though I spend so much time. 2. Creating those wretched videos. 3. Which brings sadness into my soul. 4. Although I understand. 5. That life still has meaning. Be wary of this, dear chums, subscribers and pupils. Very occasionally, you can also use a grammatically incomplete short sentence for effects which doesn't have a verb. However, it has to be incredibly obvious that you are doing this for deliberate effect and aren't just bungling. Time for some delicious exercises in which you consolidate further your understanding of different sentence types. Let's start with a sentence on screen. Can you convert this into 3 separate sentences with the first a complex, the second a simple, and the third a complex? You may need to tweak or add the occasional word. Time to get cracking, so press pause now. Time to reveal all. In spite of my best efforts, and even though I spend so much time creating these wretched videos, the average view count remains pitiable. Complex sentence with one main clause and 2 subordinate clauses. Much better. This brings sadness into my soul. Simple sentence. This allows the viewer and reader plenty of time to feel sympathy. However, I understand that life still has meaning without social media fame. Complex sentence with I understand being the main clause and that life still has meaning being the subordinates. Good news. Time now for a second exercise. This is trickier. You will need to make more significant changes, especially to the opening phrase. However, I believe in you. Convert this sentence into 3 separate sentences of simple, complex, and compound. Off you go. Press pause now. Here's the answer. I've completely transformed the opening phrase. Out went, in spite of my best efforts. In came the whining, I've tried so hard, which is a simple sentence as it has a subject, I, a main verb, have tried, and makes sense on its own. The second sentence is complex. Why? Well, I start with a main clause. I spend so much time. I continue with a subordinate, which starts with the present participle, creating these wretched videos. And then I end the sentence with a main. The average view count remains pitiable. I then have a compound sentence with 2 main clauses. 1, this brings sadness into my soul, followed by a but, and 2, life still has meaning without social media fame. But does it though? Shall we do some odd one out fun, kids? Can you spot the odd one out in these 4 sentences? Of course you can. Get discussing and press pause now. Did you spot that naughty second sentence with not 1 but 2 subordinate clauses? Like all the others, it begins with a subordinate clause whilst I continue to churn out content. However, it then has a second subordinate clause that it is impossible to compete with Piper Rockell. With this in mind, can you spot the odd one out amongst these sentences? Time to press pause now to ponder and discuss. How did you get on? 4 out of the 5 sentences are simple. 1 is complex. I suspect, that's the main clause, then an implied that, followed by the subordinate clause. I look rather foolish. Whoopsie! More fun coming your way with exercise 5. Can you convert this into 4 separate sentences? Simple, compound, complex, compounds. Be warned that you will need to wrestle with the 4th sentence in particular. Press pause now. No need to make any changes to the first sentence. It is already as simple. It's easy to create the first compound. Simply add an and. During this video, I chop vegetables and wear a wig. The third is already complex. I suspect main. I look rather foolish, subordinate. It's the 4th one which is tricky. I've added a subject and main clause to the previous phrase and deleted without. Thus, the final compound is, however, I need to have pain, and this should lead to gain. Yet more fun. What's the odd one out within this characteristically self-indulgent, self-promoting paragraph? Four simple sentences and 1 compound. Note the 2 main verbs in the second sentence, posed and listened. Naughty. Final fun. Convert the passage into 3 separate sentences. Complex, compound and simple. You may need to do some resequencing in order to ensure it makes clear sense. Off you go. And here's the answer. Note that I've positioned the second sentence as subordinate clauses using present participles at the beginning of the first, posing with beaming smiles and listening attentively. I've merged the two questions to create the compound by using the conjunction and of course the final sentence is already simple. Hurrah! This has been a Schofield on Shakespeare production, helping you nail sentence structures and therefore gaining even more control over your writing. Many thanks for watching.